Welcome to the ExecMBA podcast. I'm your host, Brett Twitty, and you are listening to a new episode. On this episode of the podcast, I'm excited to spotlight one of the student organizations that serves our executive MBA and part-time MBA students, the Black Professional MBA Student Organization. I recently connected with the three co-presidents for this organization, Stephen Daly, Cedric Thomas, and Sean Weber, to talk more about their backgrounds, the Black Professional MBA Student Organization generally, their plans for the year ahead, and so much more. I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. And as always, if this conversation is helpful for you, please like this episode and subscribe to the ExecMBA podcast so you never miss an update. And remember, you can always check the episode description for links to Darden blogs, social channels, and more. And now, without further ado, here is my conversation with Stephen Daly, Cedric Thomas, and Sean Weber. Cedric, Stephen, Sean, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having us, Brett.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Great to see all of you. Cedric, how's everything going? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's an exam week, so we get, a tiny break, which is rare for the program. So trying to enjoy it while I can. Also just got my first shot at choosing electives. So that's a nice signal that there's something at the end of the tunnel,
Yeah, the hardest thing for working professional students is trying to find that downtime. Once you start the program, you are in the program until you finish. And so maybe unlike our full-time MBA students who have a fall break and spring break and a summer off between their first and second year, it's not the case with our executive MBA and part-time MBA students. So you have to kind of carve out that time. Exam weeks are one of those times where you set your own schedule. And once you're done with exams, well, you're done for that quarter. So maybe a way to kind of give yourself a break. I think the longest break in the program is maybe a couple weeks in that December timeframe. That's probably about as long as it gets. So yeah, you have to find your own break. Stephen, how are you doing?
Doing well. Similar to Cedric, just finishing up exam weekend. I'm actually headed to Argentina tonight for the second global residency. I had a really good time in Italy last year around the same time, and excited to travel to South America for the first time.
Yeah, I will say, probably one of those locations that's always popular with executive MBA students, and excited that part-time MBA students are getting to go down there. It's always one of the most popular global residencies, and I think it's probably a pretty good time to be down there. It being counter seasonal, maybe is it springtime? Is that right?
Yeah, I think they're just getting out of winter, if I understand correctly.
Okay.
Yeah, really looking forward to it.
All right. And you'll spend time in what, Buenos Aires and Mendoza?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Well, have a great time. And Sean, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing very well. Thanks, Brett. So yeah, in a similar boat with the exec program, we've gotten because of the global residency, we actually get a little bit of a longer break, a week between when our last quarter kind of exams ended and when the next quarter starts. So been taking full advantage of that and kind of having a little bit more free time. And then I've thoroughly been enjoying my electives. So I guess my next quarter starts basically this next week. So excited to get started on those.
Yeah, you just finished quarter 7, correct?
Yes. Apologies. My dog is wanting to join the podcast, but yeah. So just finished quarter 7, which was the first quarter of electives, and then about to start into quarter 8. So thoroughly enjoyed the core, but it's nice to be able to kind of choose your own adventures and really dive in on classes you're super interested in.
Yeah, both of these programs have a core curriculum followed by electives for folks who are just learning about our executive MBA and part-time MBA programs. And Sean's point, we actually have a group of executive MBA students, actually 2 groups right now. We have a group in Finland, Estonia, so over there and spending time in both those countries. We also have an executive MBA group that's heading to Argentina too, just like our part-time MBA students. So lots of Darden students out there in the world. So thank you all for doing this. We always have an annual conversation of sorts with the new leadership for the Black Professional MBA Student Organization. That's the occasion for this conversation, but before we get into that, I want to take some time just getting to know you a little bit better. Now, Stephen, I know you've been on the podcast before. I know we got maybe some repeat guests here, but nevertheless, want to give you a chance to introduce yourself, talk a little bit about where you are in the program, maybe in a little bit more detail, and then we'll talk kind of in the second half of our conversation about the Black Professional MBA Student Organization, which is one of our oldest student organization serving executive MBA and part-time MBA students. So Stephen, can I come to you first? Can you tell us a little bit more about you? Who are you and what's your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Stephen Daly. I'm originally from outside of Boston. Grew up playing sports my whole life and continued that in college. I ended up playing college basketball at Colby College, a small school in Central Maine. Up there, I double majored in econ and environmental policy and really took that experience into the corporate setting. So I interned at Raytheon for 2 summers, ended up joining their full-time program, rotational program after I graduated undergrad, and have since worked in different companies within the aerospace and defense industry, and have really been excited to be able to move down to DC. Been down here since winter 2021, and being part of the part-time program at Darden has been a great experience for me. Been a great way to get to know the city better, make new friends, and then also be able to get a Darden degree next to my name in a few more months.
Yeah, you are in your final year of study. Are you going to finish in December or May? Like, what are you thinking about in terms of your pacing?
I'll be in May, but luckily between the global residencies and just adding a few extra classes, pretty much after the new year, I think I only have 2 more classes left. So really on the final push for me, and it's an exciting time just to look at the 33 months that have passed and kind of all the memories and experiences that we've been able to have. It's really been a great experience for me.
Yeah, for folks who are just learning about our part-time MBA program, it has a flexible completion timeline. So students can complete the program in anywhere from 28 to 48 months. Now, a little bit more detail on that. The UVA requires that you finish at the end of a semester. So the 28-month plan is a 7-semester plan. Stephen mentioned he's finishing in 33 months, which is the standard pacing for the program. It's about a year slower than full-time MBA and executive MBA, and that's the 8-semester plan. There's another plan that's a 9-semester plan, which is about 36 months, another one that's 10 semesters, 40 months. So each semester here at Darden is about 4 months in duration. So kind of figure that math out. You eventually sort of work up to the 12-semester plan in 48 months. And everybody's required to earn 60 credits to graduate. And so to Stephen's point, as you think about sort of laying out your classes, you're working towards that 60 credit number. And you take about 34 and a half credits as a part-time MBA student through the core, and then 25 and a half credits through electives. And that 25 and a half credits translates to 17 elective courses. So just to give you a little bit of context for the things that you're hearing here. So Sean, we mentioned before that you're in quarter 7, the second year of the executive MBA program. And our executive MBA program, the first year is core. The second year or the final 8 months of the program, students take electives over the course of those 4 quarters. So you're now picking your classes, but tell us a little bit more about who you are and what's your background.
Yeah, definitely. So I actually grew up in Maryland, kind of in the suburbs of DC. And so spent a lot of time kind of around the DC area growing up. But I actually went to North Carolina for college to a school called Elon University. There, I double majored in computer science and economics. After that, I ended up landing a job at JP Morgan Chase. Similarly to Stephen, I initially started as a rotational program, which was a great way to start my career, learn about different industries and functions, and really get a better understanding of where I wanted to focus on. And so after working there for several, I guess a good handful of years, I was at a point in my career where I was looking to kind of grow and develop and move towards a manager role, and also make a slight pivot in terms of functions more towards the product management space. And so that's what really pushed me towards looking at Darden and looking at an MBA program.
All right. Thank you, Sean. Can you tell us a little bit about the electives that you've taken? You mentioned you're excited to be picking your classes. You don't have to remember all of them, but maybe elective or two. I think this is a question that we get from a lot of prospective students. They want to know about the elective end of both of these programs, what classes students are taking. So you can tell us about a couple classes that you either registered for or you're currently taking?
Yeah, definitely. So a class I just finished taking, again, it kind of aligns to some of my goals I just mentioned, was a digital product management course. And so that's been a great experience so far. I've had some limited experience in my, in my actual job, but it's been great to be able to kind of directly apply some of the things I've been learning through that class to my actual day-to-day role. So there's actually been a couple of frameworks and ways of thinking about the customer that I've actually directly taken from the class and started to implement into my role today. So that's been a great experience and kind of directly applicable material. And then, of course, I'm looking forward to in the kind of right upcoming. There's a couple, but one that really stands out to me is the investments course. It's something that, obviously there's a personal, everyone has to deal with and manage investments. But for me, it's something that coming to Darden, I've started to realize that I actually have a lot of interest in that space. And so, yeah, the fact that there's an elective there, something that really excites me, and I'm looking forward to taking that class.
One of the things that we were talking about earlier is Stephen's heading to Argentina. Have you done your global residency?
I have, yes. So I actually went to South Korea for my global residency, which was a amazing experience. Probably the highlight of the program so far. Although it's tough to pick one, but it was a amazing experience. One, to get a much closer relationship with the folks in my kind of MBA class of 2025. So to really build stronger relationships with them as we all go through this experience together. Second, to really learn about a country that I've never been to before, and really deep dive into it in a way that really gives you a full view of the country. And yeah, it was a very enjoyable experience, and also an opportunity to really learn and engage. You get to hear from, business leaders at some of the, companies you've likely, heard of before, but also you get to hear from smaller businesses. And so it gives you a really opportunity to understand the vast kind of landscape and business landscape there, and then how that also influences like the economics of the country, and also the overall the cultural dynamic of the country, and how that also influences the business. So great opportunity to, again, like get better relationships with your cohort, and really deep dive and understand both the cultural and business landscape of a country you may have never even been to before.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. For folks who are just learning about our part-time MBA and executive MBA programs, part-time MBA students have an opportunity to participate in a global residency as an elective experience. So it's not required. Similar to our full-time MBA students, students can choose to do one of these global courses. For our executive MBA and global executive MBA format students, the two formats within our executive MBA program, there's actually a global residency requirement. The key difference between these two formats is the number of global residencies that are required. MBA format students are required just to do 1 week-long global residency. And again, these are credit-bearing courses, potentially 8 to 10 locations, I think, ultimately offered to students. Students choose from when selecting their global residency. MBA format students are required to do 4 week-long global residencies. Now, it is very strange to say that you're required to travel in the world and have a great experience with your classmates and have this kind of singular type experience where you're meeting with business leaders and visiting businesses in these locations. But that's how it works in the program. Executive MBA and global executive MBA format students do have this as a program requirement, whereas for part-time MBA students, it's an elective experience. Cedric, when it comes to you, you mentioned you're also picking classes now in the part-time MBA program. So tell us a little bit more about who you are and your background.
Yeah, so my name is Cedric Thomas. I am a part-time 2026 student. So I've lived in Northern Virginia pretty much my entire life. I went to undergrad at VCU in Richmond and got my bachelor's in history. I was originally planning to go down the research and education path, but quickly found out that was not for me. And I ended up falling into the defense space. I've been in cybersecurity for a while now, working for different defense contractors in project and program management roles. And I'm currently a senior manager at Elastic, which is a tech company that focuses on big data and data analytics, where I manage consulting engagements for our products within the U.S. intelligence community.
So you mentioned that you're in the elective period. It's an exciting year for our part-time MBA program. So for folks who are learning about this program, it's a relatively new program. It's Darden's newest MBA format. We launched it, announced it back in summer 2021. First class, Stephen's class started August 2022. We now have 3 classes of part-time MBA students. We are recruiting the 4th class of part-time MBA students, but we will have our first graduates from this program this year. So Cedric, it's exciting though to have another class that's now in the elective period. Can you tell us about a course or two that you're taking?
Sure. So, not in my first round, but the one I'm most excited for actually is probably negotiations. I can only see that being super interesting. My favorite classes so far in the core have been ones where there's been, uh, I'll say, more back and forth between the students. So I know that that's going to be a great class to participate in.
Yeah, one of those perennially popular electives across all of Darden's MBA programs. It's popular in the full-time MBA program. I have no doubt it's going to be popular in the part-time MBA program, and it's always a hit with executive MBA students. I think people think of negotiations as one of those classes that absolutely they're going to be able to use this day in, day out as they think about conversations either with colleagues or business deals that they're working on. Thank you for the background. It's always good to be able to introduce our students here on the podcast and give our listeners a little bit of a sense of where you're coming from. One more question before we kind of get into talking about the Black Professional MBA Student Organization. Sean, what for you as you think about your time here at Darden, what's been the impact for you? You know, what really kind of stands out as you think about the roughly year plus that you've been in the executive MBA program?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's hard to pinpoint just a couple of things because I feel like it's been a transformational impact across a variety of different areas. But I'll try to limit it to a couple. So first, I think the class experience and the opportunity to learn from kind of a diverse cohort of people, in my case, in the EMBA program across a number of different industries, functions, even locations, has just like really increased my aperture and just increased my kind of understanding of what all is out there. So that's one piece, just really being able to engage with folks I don't usually engage with in my day-to-day life and really learn as much as possible, both inside and outside the class environment. I think a second one has been being able to kind of get involved and grow as a leader. So part of that is through this, taking on this leadership role in BPMBA, but also through kind of getting involved in other organizations like the Darden Executive Fund, which is an opportunity where, as a actual student, you get to manage a portion of Darden's endowment. And so the opportunity to kind of grow and get involved beyond my kind of like, expected class has also been kind of a super fun and enjoyable experience. And the third one I would say has been the opportunity to really build relationships. So not just within my existing kind of EMBA cohort, which I feel like I have built really strong relationships with, but also with, um, folks in the part-time program, folks in the full-time program, and even like Darden alumni across formats. So I've had the opportunity to have great conversations both at with Darden alum at the company I work at, JP Morgan Chase, but also Darden alum across, a number of different industries and functions that I've been interested in. So that's also been a huge benefit and an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I appreciate that. A lot in that answer about building connections and relationships. We like to think that that's really core to what Darden's about. And you think about how you learn here. It's case method, it's discussion based. You kind of have to be curious about the other people in the room and want to learn from their experiences and their perspectives. So Cedric, same question for you. I know you got a little ways to go here in the part-time MBA program, but what's been the impact of your time at Darden for you?
Sure. I'll say there's two that come to mind. The first being me going to class on Monday, Thursday, and turning around and actually being able to implement some of the things we're learning from cases or lessons learned after the fact, and being able to apply it at work. That's actually been big and something I didn't necessarily expect, but the cases really lend themselves to introducing you to situations that you either already come across in your career or things you could come across in your career, and how to resolve those issues when they happen. And then also, I guess just the program as a whole has really opened my eyes more to additional possibilities. I know when I came into the program, I was definitely on the climbing side, and the more that I take these classes, the more I'm shifting towards the switcher side. So we'll see how that actually pans out. but really opening my eyes to the number of possibilities that I could get into if I so choose.
Yeah, I appreciate that note. And for folks who aren't as familiar with some of the terminology we use to describe students' career aspirations, climbing would mean you want to move up within your existing company. Switching, pretty obvious, but just explain it a little bit more. It means that you want to change function and or industry to seek a new opportunity, something beyond your current organization. And maybe to Cedric's point, it's pretty common for people's career goals to change and evolve during their time in the program. Whether you're an executive MBA or part-time MBA students, you have a few years to kind of think about who you are, what you like. You're meeting all these new people, you're taking classes you've never taken before. There's a lot of self-exploration and introspection that happens in these programs that ultimately, things can spark and sort of push you in a different direction than maybe what you imagined when you started off on your MBA journey. So I appreciate your noting that, Cedric. Stephen, how about for you? Now you're close to the end. You've got basically a quarter and a semester to go. So as you think about your time here at Darden, what's been the impact for you?
Yeah, similar to Cedric and Sean, obviously the network and the being able to apply Dart in real time in your job has been great for me. But I think even more broadly, just critical thinking skills and being able to articulate more efficiently. You're put in front of a lot of different people within a Darden classroom, whether it's healthcare, politics, marketing, finance. So being able to take a problem, look at it from different angles, and how someone from a different function or someone that's in a different industry than you might think about it, and using that to explore a problem differently, break it down a different way, and look at the different ways it could be solved. That's been very helpful to me in both a professional and personal setting, because I think it just gives you a better diversity of experiences to base your thinking off of, and then also things to pull from that other people might do that you didn't consider before, and is a different way to go about things. So kind of non-traditional answer, but I think that's been something I've seen for sure.
That feels very real to the Darden experience. So thank you all for your perspectives, and exciting to kind of hear where you all are in the program. I think electives are always an exciting time for students because you are getting to pick your classes. And when you get to that point, whether you're a part-time MBA or executive MBA student, you do start to get the sense that like, all right, I'm out of core. The end is, approaching. Like you can see graduations in view when you get to that point. You're on kind of the downhill side, so to speak. So I want to talk about the Black Professional MBA Student Organization. Quick historical note. This is one of our oldest professional degree program student organization. It was originally the Black Executive MBA Student Organization, but with the introduction of the part-time MBA program, it has now become the Black Professional MBA Student Organization, recognizing and acknowledging that it serves two populations. So, Stephen, I want to come to you to sort of introduce the Black Professional MBA Student Organization. What's this group? What's it all about? What would you want us to know about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, this is one of Darden Professional Degree Program's oldest clubs. We were first chartered in 2017, and really we're focused on the professional and academic advancement of Darden's African American and African diaspora communities. In addition to these goals, we also host different social outings throughout the year to help foster relationships between the group's membership and the broader Darden community. Currently, now that we have 3 different part-time formats and obviously the 2 executive formats, I'd say we probably have 24 to 36 active members across the different programs. And in addition to those members, we do events with alumni. We engage a lot with the full-time program, the BBSA. And we actually just came out of the National Black MBA Conference, which was hosted in DC late last month. So there's also external networking opportunities with other business schools, and then using our status to get into different networking conferences that may be based around diversity and inclusion. So really broad mandate that we have, and it's been exciting club to be a part of for me, and really open up a lot of doors just outside of the regular Darden network.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen, for that introduction. I want to take a second just to talk about the National Black MBA conference that happened just here in DC. It moves around. It's not always in DC, but it was in DC this year. There's a tremendous reception that happened as part of that. It was so much fun to see all the alums, current students. I ran into y'all there, I believe. So Sean, you participated in that conference, I believe. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that conference is and what that experience is like?
Yeah, sure, definitely. So the National Black MBA Association Conference, or usually just called National Black, is a conference I believe is held annually, again at different locations each year. I believe it's at Houston next year, but don't quote me on that. But it basically gives an opportunity for Black MBA students to one. Of course, everyone will kind of be at the same location. There's an opportunity for them to meet with and engage with companies across a number of different industries. So a lot of, especially this year, there were a lot of companies that were, Fortune 500 or well-known brand companies across, the technology, financial services, a number of different spaces. But there are also, smaller companies as well, especially that tend to be more tied to the local area. So there are also some smaller companies that are more focused and have a presence in DC, in this case, for example. And so you get the opportunity to engage with those companies and start to make networks and inroads at those places. In addition, you also there are also other professional development and other events that are ongoing that are about how do we kind of improve you as an individual and help you grow. So it's a great opportunity, one, to kind of see what's out there from in terms of companies, if you're switching or just looking to understand more what's out there, but then also, hear from, Black professionals and executives that have done well in their careers and kind of take some of their learnings and be able to apply them to yourself.
Cedric, did you participate in the conference this year?
No, unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the conference this year, but I did have a great time at our Darden reception, getting to, again, meet a lot of the alumni that were present in the DC area. It was actually great to engage again with a lot of the full-time students that came out, and just in general have a good time. The entire city is dedicated to the week of National Black MBA. It's crazy how many events are going around in the city just by happenstance. So it was a great time.
Yeah, it was a wonderful reception. It was great to see. I mean, there were alums there that I hadn't seen in a few years. There were some folks who just graduated from the Executive MBA program. They're current students. I ran into a few people I'd interviewed for the full-time MBA program or talked to on a podcast or something. I mean, it was a great opportunity to reconnect and see some folks who I had not seen in a while. So I want to talk about the Black Professional MBA Student Organization, just some of the things that you'll have planned or some of the activities that are in the works. Sean, anything you would want to highlight here for our listeners who are curious about the student organization?
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of upcoming events, I think one that we're excited about is our kind of late fall or early winter programming. So we really want to have an event to foster community. That was one of the things in our intro kind of kickoff call this year that really stuck out, is that how can we drive community across all of the different programs and cohorts. So we're still in the planning process, and we really want to involve out of the different cohorts, especially our new joiners, to be a part of the voice and how we plan that. But it's basically going to be an opportunity to really drive fellowship and camaraderie across the different cohorts. Right, as we have this is our first year having, I believe, all 5 in terms of 2 years of the MBAs, and then also 3 full years of the part-time. So really excited to kind of get all of those formats and cohorts together in the same place.
Cedric, there's some leadership complexity when you think about serving, 2 different classes of executive MBA students, 3 classes now of part-time MBA students. People have very different schedules, just personally, but also as part of their academic experience here at Darden. How do you think about serving and sort of meeting the needs of all these different groups?
Sure. So it does get challenging with scheduling. MBAs, if they're not in the area, are only in for their weekend residencies. Part-timers, sure, we meet in person 4 times a month, but together outside of that, you have to be very intentional about getting everyone together and having events. So one of the things we're trying to do is have a lighter but much more impactful showing throughout the calendar year.
So, Stephen, when you think about, sort of making impact, serving these different populations of students, what does that mean to you? What are you thinking about? What is the group thinking about generally?
Yeah, one big focus for us this year is really looking at representation and how we can help broaden the pipeline to Darden. So a big aspect for me is how do we guide more Black professionals towards the program in general. Me and my personal experience, early outreach and engagement from current students was a real big part that helped solidify my decision to go to Darden. So thinking deeper about how we market the program and attract more diverse candidates is a focus for me for this year.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So it's something we feel like every year we kind of have to think about, and how do we want to connect with folks and recruit? And every class comes together differently. But the student organizations, particularly when you think about Black Professional MBA student organization, you got the Network of Executive Women, have a veterans group, which is the Darden Military Association professional formats. All of these groups help us a lot as we connect with different constituencies who are looking at our programs and folks that we're trying to recruit here to Darden. So maybe a last couple questions just to wrap up here. Stephen, what would you want folks to know about the Black Professional MBA Student Organization? Obviously, we talked about what it's about and some of the things that you're thinking about from a programming standpoint, but sort of high level, what would you want people to take away as they think about this organization?
I think just really having an organization at Darden that meets you where you're at is really an important thing for me, and something that I wasn't necessarily expecting to when I went into business school, just understanding my identity as a Black male and all the complexities that come with that, whether it's from a professional standpoint or just being in a top business school for the first time. There's a lot that comes with that, and just having a network of people that have similar experiences to you and people to lean on has been big for me. I've been able to connect with people across different industries, executives, and then even people in the full-time program that are approaching Darden from a different perspective. So it's helped broaden my network. It's helped connect me to professionals at other business schools, and really been a great aspect of my Darden experience, and help round it out what I can bring to the table as an individual, and having other people that I can connect with along with that.
Thank you, Stephen. Sean, what would you want folks to know about the Black Professional MBA Student Organization?
Yeah, so for me, I think it comes back to that word community. So we're really here to be able to foster and create a community for Black professionals here at Darden. And so if you're interested in coming to Darden, or you're about to start Darden, you have a community here that's for you and ready to help you, and help you both personally and professionally.
Same question for you, Cedric. What would you want people to know about this student organization?
Yeah, I mean, really trying to nail it in that, unfortunately, a lot of us find ourselves in spaces where there aren't a lot of people like us, just to the nature of our careers and where we're at in our lives. So having a group of individuals that you can lean on, that have shared experiences, that can help support you either before admission, during school, or after graduation, is an extreme boon to getting through the program and having a great time.
All right. Well, thank you all for everything you shared about the Black Professional MBA Student Organization. Excited to see what you have in store for this year and some of the programming that you'll be offering. Last question, we ask our guests the same last question, everybody who comes here on the podcast. Just a piece of advice that you would share with our listeners, something that you would encourage them to think about as their own MBA journey. So Cedric, I'll come to you first. What's a piece of advice that you have for our listeners?
Sure. So just like everything else in life, it's not some magic bullet that's going to help your personal or professional career. So you really do get out what you put into the program. So be intentional about your time, say yes, meet people, go to activities, have fun, and hopefully learn something along the way.
Yeah, I love that point. People ask us all the time about, career outcomes or academic experience, and it is really about your willingness to bring your attention, intention to the experience to really kind of, you only get to do your MBA once, so might as well give it your full effort if you can. I know that people have a lot of things on their plate as they're doing these kinds of programs, but again, the more you can put into it, the more you'll get out of it. I love that advice, Stephen. Sorry, I love that advice, Cedric. Stephen, coming to you with the next with the sort of next question here about piece of advice, a tip you would share with our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, you really need to think about where you want to be post Darden and try to work back from there. Obviously, a question on the admissions essay is your goals post Darden. So it's definitely something the admissions teams make you think about. But from what I've seen, the people that are most successful in the program, they try to work towards those goals each and every day as part of Darden, because Darden really gives you a chance to be in the rooms and be in front of the type of people that you want to connect with or network with. And then they give you some of the personal and professional skills that you need to become a leader. So really working backwards from your goals and trying to think about the steps and actions you need to take to get there. I think that's how you can be most successful and make the program work best for you.
Yeah, that's great advice. In a world where you have only so much time and only so much energy, being really clear about your priorities and what you want to get out of the experience can really be helpful, can give you a North Star. Whether you're doing a full-time MBA program or a working professional program, you can't do everything. And you really need to be clear about what you want to get out of the experience. And it's going to be very helpful to you along the way when you have to make those tough calls and you only have so much time and so much energy to devote to something. So I love that advice, Stephen. All right, Sean, you get the last word here. Piece of advice?
Yeah, so I definitely agree with those two pieces of advice. The only thing I would add is to try and focus on the relationships and building meaningful relationships and connections. I think at Darden, you'll get a lot of opportunities thrown at you in terms of classes, organizations to get involved with, career sessions or opportunities just to learn about different industries. And it can be very easy sometimes to just go to those events and kind of go through the motions, but kind of just focus on like the event itself. When I think it's really important to also think about the people that are involved and how you can build better relationships with those people. So sometimes a single event, if you come up to that person after and develop a relationship, that could be incredibly meaningful down the road. So I would say that would be my recommendation, to focus on being intentional around the relationships you want to build, especially as they align to kind of to Stephen's point. How do you build relationships that help align you to where you want to go in the future?
Yeah, networking is a big part of any MBA experience, and developing those relationships, investing time to not only start the relationship, but also to nurture and maintain the relationship. That's a big part of it. And that requires organization. It requires, being sort of mindful of how you're going through the program and how you're connecting with people. And I think that's a wonderful point, Sean, is sort of focusing on, the value of the education is not just what you're learning in class, but it's also who you have an opportunity to connect with, both your classmates and alumni and that are out there in the world. So I appreciate everything y'all have shared here. It's been a great conversation. Obviously, always wonderful to have the Black Professional MBA Student Organization here on the podcast. They're one of our most frequent guests here. So thank y'all for doing this, and thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us, Brett. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Brett.
And that was my conversation with Stephen Daly, Cedric Thomas, and Sean Weber, the three co-presidents for the Black Professional MBA Student Organization here at the Darden School of Business. As always, if you have any comments, suggestions, requests, anything you'd like for us to cover here on the podcast, we're all ears. We can be reached at exec, that's EXECMBA@darden.virginia.edu. Until next time, stay safe, be well, and thanks for listening.